He stood up, didn't he?
Well, he had to, Bill, didn't he? And you're talking about Nick Revolt.
St Nick was fantastic, wasn't he? 15 kicks, 5 handballs, 15 marks, kicked 5 goals straight and 2 goals assists, and just ran them ragged, Spud.
Well, the midfield were sensational. I think Ross Lyon got the coaching honours last night. To be able to create the space for Nick Revolt was absolutely outstanding. I think that Rossi Lyon, what they did, they put an extra player behind the ball, Bill.
Yes,
and
both sides.
Collingwood manned them up and had a 7-man forward line. And then St Kilda, they had space to Revolt to lead into.
And he was sensational because he had a poor game last week, so he had to bounce back.
But he wasn't Robinson Crusoe, was he? Because, I mean, the pressure's been on a lot of those blokes. And you talk about Nick Revolt standing up, but Brian, Nick Del Santo was absolutely sensational.
Yeah, he was probably one of the best players on the ground, probably second behind Nick Revolt, in fact. But Revolt was, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Nathan Brown was his opponent for most of the first half, was it, Spud? Probably even
three quarters, 10 minutes, actually.
And that young kid is a real goer, but just shows you how committed to running and really putting his man through the washer that Nick Revolt is.
I think that's the standard that the big power forwards get. Jonathan Brown, Nick Revolt, Matthew Pavlich, Bill.
Yes.
They take good contested marks, but it's actually their work rate that gets them a lot of possessions up and down the ground.
And he has a good game. Milne has a good game because Milne knows where to go. He knows where the ball's going to land.
Once he stops trying to kick him from the boundary every time.
But he was good last night also. He stood
Justin
up.
Kosicki, that's going to be the talking point over the next few days. He did have his number taken for this incident. Boys, should he be worried?
Well, look, he would be worried because I think he has some carryover points, but I think one of the things in his favour, if we get a chance to watch it again, when he tackles him, his head's down there, so he doesn't get the opportunity to realise that Wakelin has disposed of the ball. So you could argue that, or I'm sure he will argue, that when he tackled him, he had the ball and he just continued with the tackle, not knowing that the ball had been disposed of.
55 points carryover, which could be important.
Well, that won't come into it, because I agree with Bix. That second angle...
What do you mean it won't come into it?
Well, the second angle, his head got behind Wakelin, so he had no idea where the ball was. It spilled for 3. And coaches say when you tackle, you put your head out of the area so you don't get injured, and then you throw.
Here it is.
I reckon if you start the tackle when you've got possession of the ball, you're fair game, aren't you?
Well,
That's when the tackle starts.
The second angle, you have a look at this is the best angle that'll help
Head down
Cosy. Look at that. See the head gets behind, and then you swing with the arms.
And I don't think you'd want to see any footballer miss out on a preliminary final for something like that.
Exactly.
I think even with the points hanging in there, that won't come into the vote because he's probably not guilty.
What about your old mate Robert Harvey, Danny?
Absolutely sensational. 65% of the game time BT, 22 disposals, 4 goal assists. He will go down, Bill, as an absolute great. But the short kicking of Robert Harvey, it amazes me how the opposition players don't play in front of the leading player because he always lowers his eyes. He hits up targets. He just come onto the ground. Seriously, no one went near him. Have a look at the short passing of Harvey. Absolutely sensational.
None of them are bullet passes. They're all just a little chip drawing the player towards him.
And if you're a forward, Brian, as you know, you love those ones because you use your own pace to run onto it.
Absolutely. He was brilliant, especially early when the Saints really needed him. He was the guy breaking the lines, wasn't he?
Well, he started on the bench. Yeah. I think that was good coaching also. They put heat into Graham and Goddard. Harvey comes on and gets under the guard.
I know that he's made the decision, and I know that Ross Lyon was sitting alongside him when he announced it. But if you were Ross Lyon, would you be tempted to ask him to go around again?
I think Ross Lyon's done a magnificent job to be able to get Robert Harvey to this area and play good football. I think both club and Robert Harvey have made the right decision, Tone, no doubt. Playing on the bench, coming on, getting under people's guard. He was
60% of the game.
Exactly.
And Collingwood, a nice touch, wasn't it? Giving him a guard of honour there at the end of the game, Brian.
Yeah, they did. Look, it would have been very, very easy for them to walk off the ground. They've just lost a final. Why do we have to line up? Because they wanted to, and it was probably a nice touch in the end. I think a little bit over the top from the Collingwood players, even though it was nicely organised. I think Shane Wakelin organised the thing. You can see him congratulating Harves. Probably a little bit over the top because, in effect, it's not his last game. And probably, Bix, it is up to the club who is playing against Robert Harvey when he is eventually outed, whether that's the grand final or whenever it is, to probably do that.
Yeah, look, I guess I'm similar view, but look, let's not be too critical of Collingwood. In the end, it's a nice gesture. Shane Wakelin obviously had a bit to do with it, and some suggesting it could be his last game as well.
It was a better guard of honour than last week.
Yeah, a little bit of a stark contrast, wasn't it?
What happened last week?
Well, this was the send-off Geelong gave him.
Everyone's shaking his hand. Good on your Haas. Well
slightly different standards. Slightly different standards at the respective clubs.
Jimmy Bartlett coming in to shake his hand. They're all shaking his hand. Well done, Haas. You're a champion.
He seems pretty impressed.
There you go, Mac. He's saying, I'll meet you after the game. We'll have a beer.
Well, what was said?
What was going on with
You know
Scarlett,
what
Bill?
was said.
They was all blown out of
Well,
proportion.
tell us what was said then, Bill.
Well, I think
He looked like he'd come in when he wasn't needed, Scarlett.
he shook his hand and he was walking away.
Well, come on, Bill. What was said?
Well, he might have just said something like, go and play Super Rules. And halves fired back too. There wasn't a lot in it.
Was there an overreaction from
You know
halves,
why
was
there
there?
wasn't a lot in it? And we know that because it hasn't gone on. It was all done and dusted by about Monday, and I can't believe it's Sunday the 14th and we're still talking about
I reckon in the back of Robert Harvey's mind,
Yes.
just a little bit, he'll be thinking a bit of a strange one. Get
You know, it was like, I tell you what, it was.
Spit it out, Dopey.
I don't reckon at all. It is all done and dusted in the mind of Robert Harvey with Scarlett. I reckon that's something he'll remember for quite a while because I reckon Scarlett was half a tool.
If they both get through and play in the grand final, it'll be great. That'll be something else we can talk about.
I tell you what, Brian, I was waiting for the credits to roll just before you actually said it. It was like one of those soap operas where, did you realise that he is your... Oh, God, we're going to have to wait until Monday night to find out what happened.
Well, Tony, the last 20 seconds you've wasted trying to crack a very non-funny gag. We could have gone on with the next thing, so move on,
Well, would
please.
you like us to replay what you just did?
No.
Sorry? I'm going to replay it if you want.
No, I'm going to replay this instead. Paul Medhurst. Now, he had a bit to say. This was at half-time, Brian.
Very frustrated.
Yes.
Not happy at all, BT, was he?
Apparently not, Tone. What did he say?
He'd only had 5 possessions and he's saying, hey, boys, come on. Daisy, kick it to me and we'll win. Give me some room. He's very frustrated here. Don't worry about that. And
In his defence, Bill, he never had a lot of room. I think that's what he's talking
well,
about.
Fisher's playing on him,
Exactly.
mate. He's doing a good job.
But St Kilda, they really crowded that forward line and never had a lot of room. Sam Fisher did an outstanding job on Medhurst.
They get frustrated walking off the ground. Things like that happen.
That wasn't the only Collingwood person to actually deliver an address or two because after the game, Mick Malthouse, as you would expect, I would have thought Danny would assemble the troops. Everyone was there. Committee people, the office staff, players, injured players, current players, you name it, they were all there.
Common practice because this is the last time. He'll have the full-time staff to give a review of the year and obviously to the players, but the ancillary staff, as you see, there's thousands there.
Look like
but
sailors.
the match day staff, Mick may not get another opportunity to talk to the whole group as a whole, and that's common practice for a coach when your season's finished.
But that wouldn't have been a bake, would it? I mean, there would have
not
been
at
a lot
all.
of positive...
There would have been a few pointers there to say it's probably not good enough, but
Yeah.
the facts are a lot of young players in the team. They had an outstanding win against Adelaide the week before. Finals you've got to keep coming up. And I think, the positive there, Mick would say, we were good enough last week and our efforts weren't good enough last night.
Brian, you're down at the club quite a bit in your capacity as the forward coach or the goal-kicking coach. No, it's all right, don't worry, I'm not setting you up for anything. But do you reckon they've finished about where they should have, Collingwood?
I reckon they've finished above where they should have. They had 9 debutants last year. They had 5 this year. That's 14 debutants in 2 years. I reckon to get where they have, they've done a remarkable job.
The thing that shot, we won't have another look at it, but the amount of star players that didn't have a Collingwood Guernsey on last night. Anthony Rocker, Didak,
they had a
Heath
shot.
Shaw, Ben Johnson, Scotty Burns, the captain. A lot of experience didn't play in that team last night.
Well, do you reckon Scotty Burns will go on, Bix?
Look, I don't really know. I'm not quite sure where he's at. He's the best person to make that decision, and probably
really?
no. I'm just saying, why would we speculate when we don't know all the details? But I probably think the fact that you mentioned you have 14 debutants, maybe that he will finish up, and there will be some opportunities for some younger players in the midfield.
And who would be the captain, Brian? Nick Maxwell?
He'd be one that was in line this year. Josh Fraser would be in line. I think Josh, in the last 2 weeks with the captaincy, has really shown that he wants the captaincy in 2 big finals, and I reckon he's been pretty good as well.
Billy, in the paper today, Scotty Burns touted as an assistant coach at a number of clubs.
Yeah,
Hasn't been
and
retired
Geelong
yet.
are the front runners there, which I hadn't heard too much about, but he hasn't actually retired yet, so we should wait for that.
Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show, and all eyes were on the MCG last night when St Kilda and Collingwood put their seasons on the line, and up for grabs here was a place in the preliminary final, and it goes to the Saints. 17-4, amazing kicking, Brian. You'd be very impressed with that as a goal-kicking coach.
Excellent.
Second best ever, Tone.
Thanks, Dan.
In the history of the game.
Anyone else?
Ever.
9-18, 72 to those Magpies, and joining us to reflect on the game, Lee Montagna from the Saints. Well done, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
And, well, it was a terrific win. You certainly, I hate the expression, but you came to play.
Yeah, we did, and obviously, you know, you have to win finals football, and especially against a team like Collingwood, you just have to come out and have a red-hot crack and play with some spirit, and we did that early and, you know, got ourselves in the game and, yeah, went our way later on as the game unfolded.
Well, I noticed Ross Lyon put an extra player behind the ball in Collingwood's forward half, and then Mick would go and man them up, and that made you 1-on-1, but it actually opened up the room for Revolt and Cozzy down the other end.
Yeah, exactly right. We know Collingwood like to play a one-on-one style of football, and we knew if we sent someone behind that Collingwood would man them up, and it did. It gave us room for Rewalt and Kazitsky to go to work, and you know, Nick was on fire early and really set us up.
And even better, you lost Allen in the first quarter, and you had 25 less interchanges than Collingwood, so you were restricted in your rotation and still were able to have a very good win.
Yeah, you're right, and a lot of us midfielders were feeling it. We were struggling a little bit late in the game. The rotations do make a massive difference, but you know, to the boys' credit, everyone had to play a little bit more minutes and stand up a little bit more, and they did the job.
How close was Luke Ball?
He was close, yeah, he was a chance. Unfortunately, he didn't get up, but we're very confident he'll play this week.
So you put a lot of pressure on. I think 8 of your first 9 goals were directly from Collingwood turnovers forced by your pressure.
Yeah, and that's something we spoke about during the week and identified as a key to kicking goals is obviously you need to put pressure on the opposition, and that was a focus, and we came out and did that early.
On the back of that, they had 55 inside 50s. Your backman marked the ball 14 times from Collingwood kicks, so magnificent effort from young Clark and Gilbert in the back half.
Yeah, exactly right. They were super for us last night, and you know, they really stood up, and as you said, they marked everything that came into Collingwood's forward line and really helped us out. And even as the backs were saying there last night, they put a lot of credit through to the midfield pressure, and that made Collingwood sort of, you know, bomb the ball in and allowed them to chop off those kicks.
See Jack Anthony there. Quite a night for him and Dawes, who have done so well for the Collingwood side over the last few weeks, but they really struggled about that centre-half forward area, Collingwood, didn't they?
They did. They had to lower their eyes, BT, but I think, as Lee said, a lot of pressure. They had to lower their eyes to try and hit those guys up to make Clark and Gilbert accountable.
Yeah. Look, it was a really interesting first half. Basically, goal for goal into the middle of the second quarter. 9 lead changes in that period of time. Don't know what you're all giggling about because it was a pretty interesting first half. Not so the second half because you started to dominate about midway through that second quarter when Milne was able to kick successive goals. Also started the third quarter with one as well.
Yeah, and when Milne gets going and starts to get on the end of a few and crumb a few, it really gets the rest of the team up, and he kicked a couple late in that second quarter, and we knew that if we just persisted that things might open up for us, and they did in the second half. 14
points up at half-time. You must have been inspired by your skipper, Nick Rewalt. Obviously, the whole team were pretty disappointed with the Geelong effort. Then to come out and your leader, Brad Johnson, we saw that the night before, but Nick Rewalt was outstanding last night.
Yeah, no doubt. He's a proud guy and he's a quality player, and we knew he'd bounce back, and it was amazing how quickly the media sort of jumped on him for one quiet game. I mean, he'd been super for us all year, and they were very quick to jump on him, and we knew he'd bounce back. He's such a quality person and a quality leader that he would do that, and it was no surprise to any of us.
Spud, Nathan Brown was on Nick Rewalt for 3 quarters and 10 minutes. Should the change been made earlier?
I don't think there was any other options, Bill. Waitman was on Cozzy. There's no other option. Harry O'Brien was on Milne.
Well, Maxwell went there late in the game and
look,
did
Maxwell did, but I just don't think he had the speed to go with him. Maxwell did a very good job the week before in a midfielder, and he was honed into Lenny Hayes and Goddard. So Nathan Brown, great learning curve.
But as a defender, do you stand in front of someone like Rewalt?
I think at some stage
presents up all the time.
He'll learn from that. Nathan Brown will have a look at the video during the week and learn from that and say, well, I'll play 2 or 3 metres in front and force St Kilda midfield to kick the ball up over your head. Probably have to change it up somewhat. He'll learn from that. He's going to be a very good player, young Brownie.
A 6-goal-to-1 third quarter, in fact, for the Saints, got them rolling in the second half, and this was where the game was busted open. It was only a 14-point margin at half-time, out to 40 points at three-quarter time. This quarter was the one that really got the absolute confidence up to know that you could take them on, beat them and win a place for next week.
Yeah, you're right, BT, and we knew that if we just, you know, as we said, we persisted in the first half and scrapped and worked hard, that eventually things would open up for us if we kept working on it. And you're right, third quarter things opened up for us and we started to get a good score on the board.
And you got the game on your terms, Lee. It was a game of records. 159 marks, the most marks taken ever. Your ball use was first class.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't sort of a specific strategy that we had to have that many marks, but it just the boys, used the ball well and took the easy options coming out of the back line and made Collingwood defend, and that really helped us get the ball going forwards for our key forwards.
It must have been wrapped. We've talked about the accuracy at goal, but just 17-4, 13 of those shots were from outside 30 metres, so it wasn't like they're all close. Was it great conditions, or what do you put that down to? Because so often we see players miss goals in pressure situations.
Yeah, I think you just put it down. It was one of those days. Everything went in. I mean, we've had a lot of games where we've been quite inaccurate, and it does sort of deflate teams a little bit, when you miss some goals. But when you're kicking them, it makes a massive difference to the scoreboard. And I think for the majority of the game, Collingwood had more scoring shots. But when you're kicking accurately, you're in front of the scoreboard, and it puts a little bit more pressure on the opposition.
And Rhett was better than anyone in that area. I mean, he's one that's really struggled with his goal kicking over recent years. But he was one of your most accurate shots at goal last night.
Yeah, 5 goals straight from Nick was super. And I think the secret, he took his glove off to have his shots at goal for the first time. I think he'd done that. So I think he'll continue with that strategy and work for him last night.
Fisher was good, boys, wasn't he, on Meadows?
Very good.
Two All-Australians playing on each other, I reckon, there, Bill.
Yep.
And the old stager, Robert Harvey, again had a very good night.
Yeah, he was great, and he set us up early. I think his first, 3 or 4 kicks went to leading forwards and kick goals. So, I mean, he's not getting the amount of touches that he used to in his prime, but he's still so valuable when he does get the footy that it makes a massive difference to us.
Just having a look at Justin Kosicki there. You've been to recovery this morning, have you?
Yep.
Yeah. Any talk at all about his report?
Not really, no. There was a little bit of talk after the rooms last night, but from what some people have been saying, they don't think there was too much in it. So I don't think there's been too much talk about it so far. We're pretty confident.
And the Hawks, big one Saturday night.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it doesn't get any easier for us. Obviously, they're in great form and had a great win last week. But, we're excited by the challenge and, we've got to do the things that we need to do to make us play good football and see what result that gives us.
All righty, let's have a look at the votes, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that, Tone. And there they are there, very nice. Nick Rewalt was the best player. Del Santo, Rafael Clark I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
Haven't mentioned him a lot, but off halfback he was a really important runner, and Sam Fisher did the job on Medhurst as well. So are all pretty good. Some great players.
All righty, now big week coming up for you. Any closed training sessions we need to know about?
I'm sure there'll probably be another closed session late in the week. We've done it all year, so we'll stick with that and we'll look forward to seeing the chopper flying above us again this week.
You get the topper out, Shane? Get the chopper out?
No, we've had our fun for the year.
Did you get in trouble for that? St Kilda happy with that or not?
Oh, I think everyone was having a laugh about it, weren't they?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a chuckle. We obviously tried to play a few little games, but, you had your spies out there and caught us out. But, no, it was all a bit of fun. You got to keep your powder dry at this time of year, especially finals.
So who, when Luke Ball went back into the race to get away from our view and the number 14 came out again, are you able to tell us who was wearing the number 14 jumper?
It was one of our first-year players, little Jack Stevens, so he was pretty proud to put on the 14 Guernsey and run around at training. And
what did you think when he suddenly appeared in the
none of
main
us actually
group?
knew about that initially, and then when we were doing the warm-up drill, one of the boys started calling him Bally, and we had a look, and he'd snuck the 14 on, so none of us even knew about it. But, yeah, it was all